good morning to all our classmates. Now we are recording this for our EN class. And we are here to point out some of the violation against academic freedom. It means now we are going to talk about academic freedom, but how it be violated by so many factors. And after we observe, after we search also, we will come up with our own opinion regarding this. And also, we know that academic freedom itself is a belief that it's a freedom for the teachers and students to teach or to study or to pursue their knowledge and research or do all unreasonable interference or any restriction regarding law or institutional regulation and so many things. And in this discussion, also, we are based our research, our discussion to the case of Nadine Morales regarding regarding her right to get her honors, but it's being violated by them, in which in the last she didn't get the honors from the UP itself. And now, if freedom itself, we will come up with so many things. Freedom, we can say freedom to teach, freedom to research, freedom to study, and freedom to all things regarding in education itself. Now, what are the requirements there? What it requires for academic freedom itself? It requires to their individuals, it requires to the authorities, also to government, and if we will say freedom means that it should be accessible to all, not just only to students, not just only to government, not just only to teacher, but it should be accessible to all. Now, the sample is for academic freedom. We can say forget a scholarship, forget honors. Also, it's a part of academic freedom. It's free for them to get the right for having that. And there are also so many factors will affect the academic freedom, which we will explain later on. In short, maybe rules, money, human dignity, and then consideration, and so many things. It's also a factor in academic freedom. Now, there are three kinds of academic freedom. First is academic freedom for faculty. The second is institutional and also for the students. Now, if you will say faculty means they are free to teach, they are free to give lecture, they are free to have courage to educate all their students in relation to their subjects. And second, if we will say the institutional academic freedom means that the curriculum will belong to their institution, not to the faculty or not to the government itself. And the third is institutional to student. If students means that they have the right to study, they have the right to get honors, they have the right to choose what school they want, they have the right to be with what school they want. Now, by this discussion, we will start with our own opinion. Each of us will give our opinion regarding this, which again, we emphasize on that academic freedom is being violated by so many factors.
Hello, good morning. Teaching, particularly in the Philippines, has come a long way in establishing itself as a profession. And like any other profession, its status hinges in large measure on the professionalism of its members. Hence, for society to recognize and acknowledge the significance and the dignity of the teaching professions, teachers have to improve continually the teaching competencies with which to guide student learning. Teaching learning are psychological processes. The teacher who understands These processes will be in a better position to select and use the methods and techniques that will promote effective learning. With this kind of insight, she will become more competent and more professional in dealing with educational problems, particularly in various classroom situations. I am talking here with the teachers. Rules in schools are said to be followed by students. Students tend to be follow the rules of the school. Schools develop students' confidence, moral values, and knowledge. Meaning, teachers or schools are the ones who are responsible to their students. There are some questions we need to, something like that. How if rules have been broken? How if rule makers are the ones who break their rules? How rules affect human dignity? And this will be answered by the next. Thank you.
Pwede ba sharing of the 1997 Philippine Constitution provides that academic freedom shall be enjoyed in all institutions of higher learning. This academic freedom accords an institution the right to decide for itself its aim and objectives, how best to attain them. Ms. Nadine Rosario Morales lost her case because of the very wide sphere of autonomy given to universities, whereby regarding Ms. Nadine's petition, there is a response, and I quote, that Dean Josefina Agravante of the College of Arts and Letters replied that while they, meaning the institution, empathize with the student and her parents, this same rule had been applied in the past, and if Ms. Morales would be allowed to graduate with honors, she, Dean Agravante, will be forced to recommend the same for the other students who were denied the same request in the past. That is footnote 21 of the Supreme Court's ruling. Thus, the said university can be found with abuse of discretion with the above pragmatic reason. This discretion of School of Learning to formulate rules and guidelines now becomes a detrimental for students' integral development for him or for her to come to full stature, as academic freedom has been interpreted and circumscribed by a dominating narcissistic principle, when in fact it is not a term to define, nor is academic freedom a formula.
Go.
Magna Carta for Students in Substitution for House Bill 8242 states, every student has the right to receive primarily through competent instructions, relevant quality education in line with national goals and conducive to their full development as persons with human dignity. In Nadine Morales' case, there is a violation of her right to come to her full development as human person with human dignity because of what she experienced with the grades and was denied of the honor she was due. The Board of Regents denied petitioner's honor to graduate as cum laude, which caused moral damages to her person. It cannot be disputed that student went through a painful ordeal which was brought about by the school's neglect of duty and inconsistency. There is no argument that moral damages includes physical suffering, mental anguish, fright, serious anxiety, besmirched reputation, wounded feelings, moral shock, social humiliation, and similar injury. The fact that after having denied to graduate as cum laude, her case was brought to the court. The petitioner requested that her German language subjects, German 10 and 11, be included in the computation of her GWA. It appears that such has been done with the inclusion of her name in the list of those graduating with probable honors, believing that the regents made an erroneous computation of her grade and a grave abuse of discretion and injustice was exercised. Thus, Nadine was not only denied with the honor she was due, but also denied of her right to come to her full development as person with human dignity because of the moral damages that the situation had inflicted her.
Academic freedom violates human dignity. Dignity is to express the idea that a being has an innate right to be valued and to receive ethical treatment. In her case, the she was not given a chance to be considered in defending her rights. Why? Because she wrote many petition letters for her to be considered, but the court and the school declined it. And because of the school's pride, she was not able to have it, which made the case bigger. It might have a personal effect on her that she might be emotionally and mentally
In
depressed.
Article 13, Section 2 of Philippine Constitution, Human Dignity and Human Rights. A human person is a being and not a thing. He is entitled to respect not because he is right or wrong, but because she is human. Violation of human rights debases human dignity. The value accorded to human dignity is measured by extent of respect for human rights. For simply, the rights to live include security, liberty, and property. It is the duty of the state to enact measures and develop programs that will promote human dignity and safeguard the rights of the people from any threat of violence or use of force. Respect for each other human right is not only a moral obligation, but so imperative if we are to live peacefully in today's world, where interests are diverse and often conflicting. In the case of Nadine Morales, her dignity was lessened because of what had happened to her. As what I've read, Ms. Nadine was won in regional trial court, but when the case was handled by the Court of Appeals, her petition has been trashed and not considered. You know why? As I know, the Court of Appeals is under of the government, and University of the Philippines is also considered as government property. The UP is afraid because they don't want to ruin their name in the public because they have a high standard education. And when they consider the other students that the same case like her will protest. And the point is that academic freedom is violated. And also, she experienced emotional depression because of fighting her rights, principle, and justice that she wants.
Under the Article 14 of the Constitution, provides that academic freedom shall be enjoyed in all institutions of higher learning. Academic freedom accords an institution of higher learning the right to decide for itself its aims and objectives and how best the CHED is mandated to promote quality education, take appropriate steps to ensure that education shall be accessible to all, and ensure and protect academic freedom for the continuing intellectual growth, the advancement of learning and research, the development of responsible and effective leadership, the education of high levels professionals, and the enrichment of historical and cultural heritage. Academic freedom is for all, no exemption. Student has the privilege to enjoy this academic freedom that the government implied to all Filipino citizens. However, in the case of Nadine Morales, the academic freedom has been violated because of the inconsistency of their system in school. Not only that, her dignity as person has been violated because it is how many years before it's settled and she was lost the case. That as student, it has a big impact for her in this experience. In psychology, it affects her personality and behavior. It was traumatized on her part, especially the unjust decision. The academic freedom in the case of Nadine, it was not properly protected by the state. Rather, the state were being protected the credibility of the university. It is the sad thing happened in our country today because of some reason they did not protect the right of the student. Even though the university has the right to whom among its graduates it shall confer the academic recognition, but they must not announce to the student the possibility to be part of the honors if they were not sure or some changes happen.
The rules and guidelines that are formulated in granting honors for the graduating students is a part of academic freedom. Rules are violated if it go within the competence between universities and colleges. In this case, the name of the school was protected, while the dignity of the student as a person was violated. The rules and guidelines are formulated for us to follow to protect the right of a person, especially as the student. It was important for us to have a proper education, and if the right of a student to get the honor that was right for her, we cannot say that the person have his or her academic freedom.
Personality and equality. At first, I could like to say about the personality in the public school and private school. Some teacher is very good. However, some teacher just teach because of money, not because they like or love in teaching. Before in the family, before they send their children in the school, they need to choose the school for their children. They was in trouble because they don't know what school is better, private school or public school. And some they want to try to their school study in the private school than the people, but the knowledge that they teach is not good. The student they study is not good. Follow that is they are naughty because of the school. The freedom because of the freedom of the student is connect with the rule in the school before they graduate.
Good morning. Dignity and the right of a human being to learn and be educated, or to be exact, academic freedom shall be enjoyed in all institutions of higher learning from the Philippine Constitution, Section 2, Article 14, 1987. These are the things came to my mind every time I hear the word academic freedom. This academic freedom seems far-fetched. In the situation of our country, the corrupt government, the university profit, way of running of some schools for sake of money and reputation, and especially the support of the government itself to its education. The case of Nadine Rosario M. Morales is a perfect example of violation of this country's academic freedom. She deserves to be honored and recognized in her school, but the school still voided the recognition because of its rules and regulations. Nothing is wrong when an institution rules are implemented, but something is wrong when a law is violated. This student lost her dignity, and the question struck in, now that's something peculiar about this. Why is the government and the student powerless even though there is a law protecting the student? There are many cases of this that are swept under the rug. Even if UP is an autonomous institution, education must still be the right of the student, and her achievements are recognized. Entrance exam is also an exemption in the academic freedom of our country. But if a student is capable intellectually but financially unable to pay for a tuition fee that is 100 times greater than the income of its family per month? Yes, there are scholarships offered, but these children who are not capable of being educated with good education because of financial problems seems absurd to me. Since when did the rich or the financially capable are the only ones who can benefit from quality education? Isn't it the responsibility of the government to give quality, free education to its country's future taxpayers? This vaguely violates the law that the government itself created. Therefore, in my perspective, academic freedom in our country is still a Republic Act waiting to be put in action. Thank you.
Stated in Article 14, Section 5 of the 1987 Constitution of the Philippines, academic freedom shall be enjoyed in all institutions of higher learning. In the Philippine jurisprudence, this matter has been given two definitions, the first mainly about the teacher and the other about institutional academic freedom, which means that a university can determine for itself on academic grounds who will teach, what may be taught, how it should be taught, and who may be admitted to study. As part of this academic freedom, schools are given discretion to formulate rules and guidelines in granting honors for the purposes of graduation, and this discretion may not be distressed by the courts unless there has been an exercise of the grave abuse of discretion. Grave abuse of discretion involves failure to take into proper consideration the facts and law relating to a particular matter, an arbitrary or unreasonable departure from precedent and settled judicial custom. In the case of Nadine Morales, the respondents claim that the courts may not disturb the university's decision not to confer honor to petitioner for the grave abuse of discretion when absent, where in fact there is. There has been an inconsistency in the decision of the College of Arts and Letters of the University of the Philippines, Diliman, in the inclusion of the petitioner in the list of candidates of graduation with probable honors issued by the end of the semester in the year 1999 to 2000. Based on the college computation, inclusive of her grades of 1.0 in German 10 and 11, the petitioner had a GWA of 1.725, which is above the minimum weighted average grade for conferment of cum laude honors. And by the end of the school year, petitioner obtained an average of 1.708 for her remaining subjects in the semester. Now in the assessment for graduation, the petitioner was not granted cum laude honors because her grades of 1.0 in both German 10 and 11, subjects she took when German was still her minor, were excluded in the computation of her GWA, bringing her average grade from 1.729 to 1.760, which is lower than the minimum weighted average grade required for the conferment of cum laude honors. Considering that the petitioner has changed her minor from German to Spanish in 1997 to 1998, a year before the year she has been included in the list of candidates for graduation with probable honors in 1999 to 2000, the College of Arts and Letters of UP Diliman should have not included the petitioner in the said list in the first place. The College of Arts and Letters should have foresaw that the subjects German 10 and 11, being basic language courses, do not fall under electives as contemplated in the Plan A curriculum that the petitioner had chosen upon her transfer. Thus, should not have been computed the petitioner's weighted average with the inclusion of her grades in German 10 and 11.
According to our 1987 Philippine Constitution, Article 14, Section 1, the state shall protect and promote the right of all citizens to qualify education at all levels and shall take appropriate steps to make such education accessible to all. Section 2. Establish, maintain, and support a complete, adequate, and integrated system of education relevant to the needs of the people and society. And lastly, Section 5, which academic freedom was stated. It is good to have these rules because it allows us to have the best of education. But in the case of Nadine Rosario Morales, the UP Board of Regents violated these rules. They violated it because there is a grave abuse of discretion in this case. The UP Board of Regents failed to take into proper consideration the facts and law relating to Nadine's petition. The trial court must exercise discretion in deciding a decision. It must do in a way that it is not clearly against the logic and evidence, which was contrary to what they did. There is also an error in the part when Nadine won in the lower court, but later on, her petition was dismissed on higher courts when the decision on appeal was revised. Regarding about taking an entrance exam, the rights of education are being violated in here. Most institutions are violating it by not giving equality in education for all people. One best example is when a poor kid takes an entrance exam but failed. It will become unfair for his part. He is determined to go to school is for him to learn. But how can he learn or how can he study if he wasn't given the chance?
What my group has said and shared are based on our own views and opinion regarding Nadine Morales' case and also the violations of academic freedom in some institutions here in the Philippines. We are not comparing the institutions that my group mentioned. We just saw what for us violates academic freedom and some incidents that human rights also is violated. And as students, we want to be treated equally and that no discriminations in all institutions. The institutions of universities or colleges are built to educate the students, not to burden them of their rules. The reputation of the schools may be at risk if they don't imply their rules. But what about the reputation of the students applying on their institutions being rejected? Like Nadine Morales, she experienced humiliation and depression that affected her so much, which I know that none of us like to happen. Thank you.